Welcome to the DraftKings Daily Trot. I'm Jason Gilbo, J Gilbo 11. With me is Russell Clay at Russell J Clay. Taking a look at an 11-game slate here for hitters on DraftKings, and our first questions to each other was where the hell's the value? I mean, a lot of these guys are priced up, but we do have one team here that is kind of priced a little bit down, and they're in a great spot, and we'll get to them in a little bit.
Yeah, there's certainly a few places to go, but on slates like this, and since the pitching is up and you want to pay for it, there's some high price guys in some good spots. It's kind of like there's not really much to alleviate the pain of paying up a pitcher tonight. So you're gonna have to make some tough decisions for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And jumping right into the first one here, you got Jose Fernandez, Aaron Nola, and Fernandez is a guy who is a Kershaw price tag tonight. He's nearly 14K, and I guess he's going to be semi-popular just because of the upside he brings. So, obviously not looking at Phillies, but I think now with these Marlins price tags here, we talked about them being great value on FanDuel with Yelich and Stanton. They're priced kind of like their normal selves. It seems a little bit reverse.
Yeah. I mean, Ozuna's still 35, so he's the same price on both sites. I guess he kind of turns into the one guy that you make your move with, but again, Nola's struggled, but it's just tough to pay up for those two in Yelich and Stanton and feel comfortable with the rest of your lineup.
Yeah, definitely. And if I'm paying those price tags, I mean, they are not going to be my first 5 options to do so with. So that's where I just kind of cut through the line there. And in this game for me on DraftKings, it's just Jose Fernandez, and I don't really see myself using anything else.
No, yeah, I definitely agree.
Mets Cubs, next one here, Steven Matz and John Lester, and the price tags are a little higher for the Cubs. Zobrist still under 4K, Contreras under 4K, but Bryant at 5K. I mean, he's a swerve still. Obviously, yeah. I think you got to like guys like Longoria and Arenado more, just matchup considered, ballpark considered. So, not a fan of the Cubs really here on the slate. Not a fan of the Mets either. I think this game's just a GPP pitching type game.
For sure. 39 for Zobrist. I can get with that. I'm okay with that. But it's like when Javier Baez is 700 more than Zobrist, you know something's weird. So it's tough to fire away with this lineup completely tonight, but I do like Zobrist at 39, and then I don't think there's any reason to mess with this Mets lineup tonight.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And one thing that's kind of intriguing, though, is Jose Reyes up top at 3,500, just because he gets on. I mean, he's going to run. I mean, we saw him snag a base already yesterday. I mean, John Lester is notable for not holding guys on. That could be something there. I think maybe if there's one guy at that price tag, I might be intrigued with this Reyes.
Well, I remember when I used to run. It was first grade, and we would have races at recess, and I was the fastest kid. I beat everyone in the race to the end of the pavement there. So I don't know if he's as fast as I was in first grade, but like you mentioned with Lester, yeah, that is definitely an advantage for guys when they get on.
I mean, clearly, if people don't know the story behind you, you won that race, you went on for a lot of great success, but then yes. It got to your head. I mean, things took an ugly turn. You had a dark time in your life, and that's where you landed. Now you're back on your feet with a normal job. You're not racing anymore.
No.
You really miss it.
Once you get into PEDs and everything, it really gets scary. And, once you get to the top, it's all cocaine and naked women. So, yeah, it's tough life as a professional sprinter.
Orioles and Yankees next. Kevin Gausman versus Ivan Nova. And Baltimore's a team that carries a lot of nice price tags. And I think the front four there, Adam Jones 4.5, Scope at 4.3, Machado at 4.1 is a really nice discount for me against Nova, who's kind of your average right-hander. It's in Yankee Stadium. So give me a ton of Machado tonight. I think that price tag is really solid.
I like Machado, Davis, and Wieters, and again, I think this is where I'm setting up shop, especially in this game. I mean, we'll talk about the Yankees in a second, but Davis, Machado, and Wieters with their prices, with the rest of the slate and where everyone else is priced considered, I think this is I don't know if they're cash, like in a stack, but I do think individually they are, especially Machado and Weeders. You got to make your move somewhere, and this Orioles team has a lot of home run pop. They're facing Nova, who struggles against both sides of the handedness realm. So I'm definitely firing away with those top three that I mentioned.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you there. At those price tags are quite a bit of points per dollar value. I was expecting Machado to be in that 45, 4,800 range. And same thing with Davis. And Davis, as you mentioned, that price tag is really cheap. And forget who's boom or bust. I'm definitely with you that he is a borderline cash game play for me just because he is a bit cheaper.
Yeah, exactly.
As far as the Yankees go, I mean, Carlos Beltran's the one who stands out for me at 3,200.
Yeah, we're kind of forced our hand there a little bit.
I don't mind him. Yeah, the Gardner price tag baffles me. There's no way I can really use him at 4.7.
Yeah.
Ellsbury at 4.1. I don't mind that either. I think those are the kind of the two guys that catch my eye for me.
Yeah, I'm okay with McCann as well. But yeah, I think 2 through 4 there are all in play at their price. Beyond that, though, the Gardner, it's going to be tough to fit him in other than a contrarian tournament swerve.
Yeah, definitely. And you look at that game, I mean, relatively high total. And we were talking about it over on FanDuel. That's kind of our first priority outside of Coors.
Right.
Twins and Tigers won, and this one's a very close second just because of the offense on both sides. In the pitching, Matt Boyd versus Ricky Nolasco. You got to like the Twins right-handers, but obviously the Sano price tag's a little bit easier here, 4.4. It's obviously still expensive, but I do like that. Dozier at 4.9 is very, very expensive. And when he's around the same price tag as Forsythe, it's kind of tough to choose him over Forsythe.
Yeah, agreed. I like Sano. I think Nunez is in play, even at 5K. I think he's a viable high-end option tonight. So probably stick to tournaments just because of the pitching. But at the same time, if you are going and trying to be different, I do think he's a nice high-end option.
Yeah, I think so too. And you can't look at the right-handers just because Boyd hasn't been great against righties. A lot of home run pop for this Twins team. They are good against left-handers. So I feel free throwing them into GPP lines because I do think just price considered, they're not going to be the popular option.
Right.
As far as the Tiger side, some of these guys are priced up a little bit more, but obviously I still think Maben, Martinez, and Upton are still kind of the key value pieces for me of this Tigers team.
Yeah, exactly. The even numbers in that front of that order are the guys I'm looking at. It's tough. I mean, Cabrera's still in play at 46, but not optimal. Kinsler as well. I can see myself doing a Tiger stack, even though I don't like the prices all that much, especially that top 4. But at the same time, Kinsler, Cabrera, not feeling comfortable in any cash or anything like that.
No, I mean, you got Martinez. I mean, obviously they both play the same position. So when it's, when it's 3,700 to a 4,600 discount on a slate like tonight, I think you kind of take that value.
Right.
Braves and Reds next one here, and I talked about FanDuel. I like Brandon Finnegan more here just because of an SP2. You can pair him up with a high priced option. I'm not really looking at Braves tonight. I mean, obviously you got a couple right-handers that could do some damage, but the likeliness of that happening outside Jeff Francoeur, I don't really see in his price at 4,400. Not quite the value play I was looking for.
No, certainly not. And I do think there is some potential here. Finnegan's are obviously been prone to blowing up, but against this Braves team who struggles against lefties, I think it's just worth it to just ignore that lineup tonight.
Yeah, I definitely think so. And the Reds' prices here, I mean, Votto's expensive, Bruce is expensive. I talked about Billy Hamilton on the pod. I don't mind him as a kind of value outfielder tonight against Whistler, who's I think you're obviously looking at the lefties against Whistler. You're not really looking at the righties. And Duvall's price tag is much higher here, so I'm not really looking at him either.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at as well.
So Padres Cardinals next one here, and Michael Leake takes on Frederick, and I think Leake's going to be a relatively average owned SP2 tonight on DraftKings. So for me, I still think he's a beatable pitcher. I like Matt Kemp at 3,100. I like Solarte at 38. I think those are definitely two guys that could get to him tonight.
And what's the lesson we've also learned? Never doubt Will Myers.
I'll doubt him at 5,100 tonight. But yeah, I mean,
No,
he's a monster as well.
I don't like that price at all, but I think we've learned to just kind of, all right, yeah, I don't like it, but we'll just keep him over here and like, yeah, whatever, deep tournament thing. But the prices are okay, especially Kemp, but I think we take the night off for the Padres for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, outside those two guys for me that I'm looking at, I'm definitely in agreement. No real use for me to use a Jankowski or a Myers or any really of the other back end plays like a Schimpf or a Dickerson or whoever.
Right.
As far as the Cardinal side of things go, it's a little bit different here. Piscotty super expensive, Diaz super expensive. Are they still on your radar? Or are you kind of more off of them
No,
here?
I can't do it. I mean, you can do it at those prices, but I don't feel comfortable with that. I'd rather just roll with Fam Holiday and get my shares on FanDuel of this Cardinals lineup. I do like that 1 through 4 stack, but you're really limiting your options throwing those Piscotty and Diaz in there.
Yeah, definitely. So I think looking at Holiday and Fam is kind of the most points per dollar,
Yeah.
top plays for the Cardinals there.
And if you do play both sites, I think Jason would agree. This is more of a FanDuel night, honestly, just in general, in terms of how comfortable you feel with building lineups.
It's definitely easier construction over on FanDuel tonight with one pitcher and kind of some of the value. And here, I mean, all the plays that we do like outside of maybe some of those Baltimore guys are priced 4,500 plus. And while they do, I mean, we'll get into a lot of more guys here later on, but there are some decent values. Guys like Upton, who we talked about at 3-3 Kemp. We'll talk about Reddick in a little bit. So there are some dive down options here.
Yeah,
to make it a
definitely.
little bit more easier.
Definitely.
Indians and Royals, and much like FanDuel, I think this game for me, outside of using Kluber, is just kind of a stay away situation. I don't like the Indians price tags. Outside of Lonnie Chisenhall at 3,400, he's an option for me. But obviously, that I'm not a big fan of paying 49 for Kipnis. I'm not a fan of paying 46 for Lindor.
Yeah, that it's like 19K for the top 4 in that lineup. I'm not looking at them. It's just too expensive for me. And I don't necessarily see the upside.
Yeah, I definitely don't either. So with that being said, I think this game's just kind of a stay away because I'm not looking to use the Royals, even though they are cheap here against Kluber.
Right.
Coors game here, two lefties, Drew Smyly versus Tyler Anderson. Obviously, this one's going to be a popular game to target, and obviously this one's going to be one where you're making your decision as to what am I going to do. I'm leaning towards paying up for pitching, but maybe a guy who I'm trying to get in is there's 2-3 guys, between this game that I'm really just going to narrow in on.
Yeah, and Forsythe and Arenado. I definitely want to make a lineup with those two in there. Whether that means I pay down at the rest of my bats or I go up at pitching or go down at pitching. I want to have a lineup with those two in there. But other than that, I mean, everyone else is pretty much expendable to me.
Yeah, I think to a certain degree. I mean, Longoria is a guy who I can see maybe making a swerve on Arenado, 5K. Steven Souza's price tag at 4.2 is cheap here in comparison to where he was at on FanDuel. So I definitely like him more. A Brandon Guyer, I mean, guy's 5,200 here, which is a little bit crazy to me. But obviously, there is some upside and Tim Beckham. So you're going to get some right-handed platoon guys that come into the lineup there. So I expect that lineup to kind of shift around.
Yeah. I mean, that's, yeah, exactly.
Just struggling for words there.
Oh.
Coming up through air like you've been trapped underneath the ocean for, I don't know, a minute.
Like, I had a blackout moment where I just started thinking back to like this morning when I told the folks that I thought my dog ran away, but he didn't. I don't think I told anyone, but yeah, I got up at 5 this morning and I totally thought I opened the door and let him out. And then I went outside to look where he was. I couldn't find him. And and he was just in my room, and I was running around for 2 hours looking for him outside, going out through the neighborhood, looking in everyone's yards, and nope, he's just sleeping. So, pet awareness, always check the bedroom before you go and
Yeah,
make sure.
the life lesson here is definitely check the sleep spots of the dog before you go out and start printing flyers.
And calling the dog officer.
As far as the Rockies' left-handed bats go, I'm not really intrigued at their prices. Cargo and Blackman, obviously, they still have some upside, but I'm definitely more looking at Story, Arenado, Rayburn, if anything there, and even maybe a Reynolds.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a lot of these guys are in play, especially the righties for both sides. But I'm limiting myself to the Forsythe and Arenado in cash game consideration, at least.
Yeah. Houston and Oakland here, and this one's kind of intriguing. So I think people are going to be on two sides of this because Fires obviously is going to be in play for an SP2. So with that being said, I mean, if you're using Fires, you might not necessarily need the value that Oakland brings tonight. But if you're against Fires, you might be looking at a Josh Reddick at 2.7 or a Lowry at 2.4.
Yeah. I think, okay, so on FD, you're looking at this game and matchup logically because I think they're priced pretty well. You know, you look at the Vought and the Reddick are both pretty cheap, but in this one, especially with all the high end options around them and sort of what some of these values can do, I think you can YOLO it with this A's sort of lineup and just hope that things go their way against Fires with the Reddick, even a Yonder Alonso, Coco Crisp, and Jed Lowry. I think you can kind of YOLO it with a few of these guys and sort of hope you get a little lucky in tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, projected for 4 runs at this point when blowing out. I don't really hate the A's tonight, and I think this is going to be one of those things where, you know, I'll definitely be working Reddick in quite a bit at that price tag.
For sure.
As far as Houston goes, I'm not in love with a lot of these price tags. I do think Carlos Gonzalez at 2,500 is still worth the look, just price considered. Looking at George Springer, though, 4.4, I definitely don't mind him. I think he's the only real one.
Yeah, well, I like Marwin because of the price, but yeah, not a great option overall.
Yeah, definitely. So I think price considered, they're not really that great of a value tonight.
No, definitely not.
Rangers and Angels here, this is kind of a situation where I'm not a big fan of this game overall. I mean, obviously, looking at this Rangers offense, there is quite a bit of value of guys like Beltre at 2.8. You get Beltre, Fielder, Mazzara all under 3K. So I don't know. I'm not big fans of it, but I think price considered, maybe they should pop up on the radar.
This is what we're looking at, though, you know, in terms of what DK is making us do. You're kind of just hoping. A little like the A's, but I think more upside with the Beltre, Fielder, Mazzara grouping. You like those prices under 3K. So I'd be okay with that, a Beltre, or even if you wanted to team two of them up, something like that. I think that could work out.
Yeah, definitely. And in the Angels prices, I mean, some of them are up and down. Pujols is only, 3Ks coming off a 2-home run game against AJ Griffin, who's kind of limited damage, been a little bit up and down at times. I don't know. I can't see. I'm not a big Pujols guy, but obviously at their price, I mean, it's obviously something to think about. Same thing with the Daniel Navar, Calhoun, because of their price tags.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at as well.
White Sox and Mariners, Chris Sale versus Wade LeBlanc, and Cruz's price tag at 4,400. He's not really priced like he's facing Chris Sale, but he's also not priced like, he's facing a bad lefty. So
like he's Nelson Cruz.
Yeah, he's kind of in the middle, but he's in the middle enough where I'm not really considering using him, even though he does hit lefties well. So I think for me, staying away from the Seattle offense is pretty wise.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty easy one. On FD, they kind of made it a little harder because they really priced him down, but this one's pretty easy fade for me. And as far as these White Sox bats go, these are kind of tough to fit in as well. I mean, I like Frazier to an extent in terms of power against lefties, but 4,800, I can't find a lot of. I don't have the cojones to do that. I don't think.
No, and I don't either. And the White Sox bats here, I mean, you got guys priced right around the similar ranges that you like more. Not a big fan of Eaton, the lefty-lefty matchup. Anderson, I think there's better options.
Yeah,
Cheaper. Jose Abreu, I mean, you have Victor Martinez, who's right there at the same price or similar price tag, and Frazier, as you mentioned, is expensive.
Yeah.
So, not really loving the White Sox, who have just completely let everyone down this year numerous times, or maybe it's just more so myself.
And me, yeah, no, definitely me too. So it hurts, it's painful, and we don't need to do it to ourselves tonight.
No, we definitely don't. That's going to wrap things up here with the DK Daily Trot. Be sure to check out dailyfantasycafe.com for all the great tools and content.